Okay. Welcome to Batman Comedy and Other Stuff. This is our first episode where we discuss Batman comedy and other stuff. I am Nicky Moon. Been doing stand-up comedy here in Portland, Oregon. With me is Kyle Adams.
Hello.
Hello, Kyle. You've been doing stand-up comedy as well.
Mm-hmm.
We are both. How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it since August of 2014.
August 2014.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. That's cool. We both love Batman.
Yep.
Yep. And I've always kind of wanted to start a podcast in general, and I figured, just talk about stuff I like, Batman comedy and other stuff. So let's, so the way this show is going to work is we're going to discuss, Batman news for a little bit, just me and Kyle, and then we're going to bring on our guest. Our guest today is a comedian named Nick Puente. He should be showing up here shortly. We have a lot to talk about, Kyle. We have a lot to talk about Batman related. First off, let's get going right into it. Batman and Superman. Batman vs Superman. It came off strong, with money wise and stuff like that. And then
I think it's just shy of 900 million right now. They said. And it'll probably hit about 900 million by the end of its run.
Well, let me get what are your thoughts on Batman vs Superman? I know you are.
I absolutely loved it. I saw it midnight release, and then I went back at 11 o'clock in the morning the same day and saw it with my dad. So I saw it twice within less
Are you
going to
see it a third time in theaters?
I'm going to try to. I just haven't had time to. But I do want to see it a third time before it leaves.
So what do you think about the bad critical reception that it's received thus far?
I feel, and this might be completely biased, but I do feel like anything that comes out that's not a Marvel-produced Disney superhero movie, or a Disney-produced Marvel superhero movie, it usually gets shut down right away. And
yes.
And Zack Snyder's become kind of a scapegoat, and he's become a black sheep within Hollywood. They've shut down it.
Yeah, it surprised me that, because it's a dark film,
mm-hmm.
definitely. Now, I personally, I definitely have some issues with Batman vs Superman. But there are a lot of positives, and I definitely think that it's a film that you can build a cinematic franchise off of.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of good stuff that came from that movie. There's a lot of really good moments. For example, Henry Cavill as Superman, to me, was great. I think it was really good. I've been reading a lot of reviews about how his character still seems kind of one-dimensional, and he wasn't given a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
they said he had 43 lines in the whole movie, and this one guy went and cataloged all the lines, and it made me laugh because the last line is "Arg!" he quoted that "Arg!" as his last line in the movie, which I thought was great.
Well, even if he wasn't
spoilers
given,
there.
Yeah, exactly. Even if he wasn't given a lot to do, I still feel that they did some pretty cool, thought-provoking things with Superman in general. And I'm not the biggest Superman fan.
Neither am I. Never was.
When it comes to Batman vs Superman, Batman is obviously the more intriguing character.
Mm-hmm.
He is more. He's a man, first of all. Superman can't even claim that he's a man. he's a super alien. And I just don't like the fact that Superman's perfect and everything.
Yeah, I like how they kind of weakened him in this movie. He doesn't have this omnipotence that he has in the comics, which is cool because they were able to get one over on him a little bit in the movie.
Yeah,
and that's one thing a lot of people complained about, how come he couldn't hear his mom getting kidnapped or whatever. It's
mm-hmm.
well, he can only hear so much. He's out of range of certain things,
mm-hmm.
And I like that aspect of the movie. I loved Man of Steel. I loved how they went in a sci-fi direction, and
mm-hmm.
in this movie they actually dealt with the consequences of something like that happening, which you don't see in movies very often. I finally went ahead and saw Age of Ultron, which was terrible, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like 16 dick jokes in that movie. That's probably one of the main problems the critics have.
Now, I think it's funny that I think you have more of a problem with Marvel than I do. You are definitely a DC. You're a DC boy all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the X-Men movies. I like everything Bryan Singer did with the X-Men movies.
He's done some great stuff.
And I like the Matthew Vaughn X-Men movie. I actually got to meet Brett Ratner, the guy who directed X-Men 3, and tell him it sucked.
Yeah.
I told him it sucked.
Oh,
and
really?
He's like, oh, we only had 6 weeks.
He got defensive.
Yeah, he got
Brett Ratner got defensive when Kyle started.
Defensive. Yeah, that was great. But, I don't know. I feel like they kind of shorthanded. Like, I feel like the Marvel fanboys are like little babies. Like, we want our Spider-Man back, and they like ruined the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, which I thought was good.
The Tobey Maguire one. Well, what would you think of the Tobey Maguire franchise compared to the Amazing?
I loved the first Spider-Man movie when I was young. When I saw it, I watch it now, and it's a severely flawed film. Like, it's like.
The first one is very 1970s Superman-y.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it follows those same little
exactly.
guide points.
But I also feel that a lot of what they did in that first Spider-Man movie really was built upon, Burton establishing... Because that first Spider-Man movie, to me, there's a lot of similarities that you can still kind of create with, like, how they treated, like, the people in New York City to how they treated, like... the Gothamites in the first Tim Burton Batman films. Because, there is a lot of, like, humor and stuff like that. So, it is, like, interesting to see. And then, plus, Danny Elfman also did the score to that.
Oh,
so, like, there are definitely, like, a lot of similarities, I feel like, with, like, that Spider-Man. Because it was also, like, before the Avengers kind of redid kind of, like, what a superhero genre movie did. Spider-Man still followed that same trend that Batman, like, the 1989 Batman, had first established. But let's talk about, just to shift gears here, because I want to talk about it before Nick gets here, is Ben Affleck as Batman. Now,
yes.
Now that I across the board, it does seem like that is the one highlight of the film that no one really has questioned.
It was funny because the critics were like had spread their butt cheeks apart and were ready to shit all over Ben Affleck as Batman, and that's the one positive thing they've said is he did a great job balancing both roles, actually, Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Bruce Wayne, I thought was really... the first... I think a lot of the problems I have with Batman vs. Superman is that I think it kind of gets progressively worse throughout but I think it starts off really strong. I think a lot of, like, the Bruce Wayne scenes of Bruce, like, just, like, investigating, like, the Wonder Woman incident, or, like, trying to investigate, like, the Lex Luthor type thing, and I think that was some really good stuff. And that was also, like, a Bruce Wayne that we've never seen before. He wasn't this quirky Michael Keaton type character. He wasn't this, he had, like, almost like a dark personality, something that we've never, like, really seen, like, really get explored before.
Yeah.
And there was, like, this grittiness to Ben Affleck's Batman that I really liked.
Well, you could tell he's a Batman who's actually, like, seen the major shit in his, like, timeline go down. You know what I mean? He's seen Jason Todd, who we think it is, killed by the Joker, most likely. He's been doing it for 20 years and he feels like a failure, and that's why he's, like, just balls to the wall, taking people down, and it's really interesting.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really cool about Batman vs. Superman, something that they never really explored before in other Batman movies, is Batman's obsession. Like, there's definitely, like, an obsession trend that's definitely followed a lot. Because he's, like, obsessed with, like, Superman throughout that whole movie. He thinks he's going to bring the world to an end. So, like, there is, like, this paranoid delusion, like, obsession that's, like, really... you really only see it kind of, like, in the comic books. But, there is, like, this, like, Batman really is tiptoeing the line here. And I thought that was really good. I think, the problems with Batman vs. Superman to me, I think it kind of just comes down to, like, script and maybe just trying to force everything all at once at the end.
It definitely, and I've said this to my friends who are more casual moviegoers, and they said, well, that doesn't make a good movie. And I said, the R-rated version, I feel like, is gonna make everything clearer. And I actually read an article that said they wanted to make it 4 hours long originally, so it definitely feels like a movie that is choppily edited.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and I mean, to play devil's advocate, because I love the movie, I can definitely see like that's a major issue with the movie. The pacing is way off, because it is a movie that was 4 hours long and was chopped all up. So we don't know what the original story could have been. It could have been something much more extravagant.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Justice League. I'm excited to see.
Wonder Woman blew me away. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, and I had never seen her anything else before, and I was skeptical at first because they're like, oh, she's from Fast and the Furious, which I can't stand those movies. Those movies are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to hold against her. She did a fantastic job. She knocked it out of the park, man. She brought on this kind of like worldliness with the role, because she was like, oh, you boys and your toys or whatever, like the line that she had, you boys can't get along, and she was almost like the mom coming in to clean up the mess at the end, and it was insane. Like,
yeah, I liked how I liked Wonder Woman. I mean, a lot of that. I mean, I think I've talked to you about this before, but when I imagine like a Batman vs Superman movie, like I want it to. I think that was my problem with it. Is towards the end, it felt like just kind of the beginning to a Justice League movie.
Yeah.
Instead of the battle between ideologies between Batman and Superman, because that to me
it touched base on that, but yeah,
it did. Yeah. It did. Like it definitely did. But I also felt like I don't know. Like that's what I loved about The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns to me is so fantastic and so great because it ends on this really epic high note. Because it ends with literally, I mean, like Superman, like Batman just ready to die against Superman, which is, I mean, like. Yeah, but I mean that's to me. I mean that's almost kind of unfair to the movie itself because I mean like I'm comparing it to a graphic novel to where the.
I don't like how there was a ticking clock on their fight. I don't like ticking clock devices in any movie really. And they had the ticking clock on his mom.
Yeah.
With the fight, which brings down the whole thing that you're like. The whole movie is like the pinnacle of the movie is riding on the namesake of the movie, and it's like, oh, you got like 20 minutes, so hurry. You know what I mean? Like they had a missed opportunity there for sure. I feel like I really did enjoy Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor though. I think he did a fantastic job.
I think you might. That's a very
I might be the only one.
lone opinion.
I might be the only one, but I am a fan of him, and I cannot wait.
He definitely took it in an interesting direction.
I can't wait to see him and Jared Leto. Jared Leto is the Joker, and his Lex Luthor like tooling around like that. The aspect of that to me is a crazy aspect.
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
actors.
Jared Leto. I mean, Jared Leto as the Joker. I mean, we'll probably get into it later on, but yeah, no. So far, so good from what I've seen. Yeah, no, and I love just like the interesting take. I like adding like kind of more like punk rock into it. And the interesting thing about like the Suicide Squad trailers is it kind of sets this tone to where it's kind of like, well, it's kind of because it has like a soundtrack, you know. So it kind of has like this, like almost like what you wanted like Batman Forever to kind of be. Yeah. You know, this kind of like, okay, if it is cool, it's not going to be as gothic as what we're used to or something like that, but it's going to be like, there's going to be like humor in it and stuff like that. And that's the kind of, it seems to me that it's setting a really cool tone for Batman to explore that universe even more. And Batman, well, then I should also mention that Ben Affleck is writing and directing his own solo Batman film.
I want to see Clayface. I want to see Clayface on the screen.
If you had to think of the next villain, if you had to choose the next villain for Ben Affleck to face,
I want to see more of the psychological villains. I want to see like Mad Hatter on the screen. I think that would be insane. Not as a major role, but Mad Hatter is like a ancillary like villain role, maybe in the beginning of the movie or something. And I just want to see the more psychedelic. I want to see more people fuck with Batman's head. Is what I really enjoy about the comics.
Yeah.
Is when he is like dealing with, because you see his traumas and stuff. Obviously, we know what his traumas are, but when the villains exploit that, that's when we get the like really just captivating comics, and I want to see that translated to the screen. I want to see more people realize that about the character, not just he's always so brooding and the way people talk about Batman that don't really know the character, just kind of he's always sad in his house by himself, and he's like he's got a lot of money. I don't know why he's so sad. Why can't he be like Tony Stark and put his dick in everything? You know, it's just like
to me, Batman. Yeah. I mean, Batman's personality, I mean, he's an obsessive guy. He's not like Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, he's dark. He is brooding. I mean, Bruce Wayne he's more Batman than he is Bruce Wayne. I mean, that's the version at least I like to think.
Bruce Wayne is his mask. And
exactly. Exactly. He is Batman. That's his true self. And that's always like an interesting dynamic to explore. But Ben Affleck directing. I mean, what do you think about? Because when they did screen it to Warner Brothers producers, it was said that the film got a standing ovation largely because of Ben Affleck, and it still has yet to be seen that he will sign on to do like 3 solo Batman films, and then also the DC Cinematic Universe will revolve around those 3 Batman films. For Ben Affleck as an actor, it's hard. I think it's hard to convince someone who's already had like an established career to literally give 15 years of their life to playing Batman.
Yeah, it's true, and I like the way that they're going with this. They're just throwing out Ben Affleck actually described it as these movies are like stars, and slowly you're going to see each little star start, and then a constellation is going to form, and it's going to be the whole, DC universe. And I think that's a much more interesting way to go about doing it, whereas Marvel, it felt like each movie was just a commercial for Avengers until, you know what I mean? And it felt really hard to care anymore after that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
Did you like the first Avengers film?
I thought it was a sitcom. I think it needed a laugh track. Like it was fun. But the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I wish this was Martian Manhunter and Flash and Green Lantern. Like I wanted it to be the Justice League the whole time. I was just
you love the DC.
I do, man. I like the Hulk. I think Mark Ruffalo did a great job as the Hulk in that. Like
he did.
He was the best part, I think, for sure. But I still don't understand why Hawkeye and Black Widow are there. They're really good at shooting stuff. And And when New York was in danger, I didn't feel like there was anything gonna happen because I knew fucking Tony Stark come around the corner with another dick joke and everything would be fine. It's just I don't feel the weight of the actual world. Like I don't feel like there's any consequences in the Marvel universe, or if there are, they're minuscule.
Yes,
and it's just the stakes aren't very high, you know, and that's why I like serious superhero movies and like the DC universe.
The major difference between, and it took me a long time to kind of come to terms with this on my own thing, is Marvel has characters that are less powerful than DC characters. DC characters a large amount of them have powers, that are pretty much godlike. It's literally a universe filled with gods. Marvel has a lot of superheroes that are on that second tier level of power, so it's a lot more relatable in that sense. But at the same time, DC has still yet to explore the amazing themes that you can conjure up with just these great, godlike beings, and then just having I don't know. That's to me is also what makes it so interesting when Batman gets in the film, because he's not a god. He's literally just someone who has limitless will.
He's at the pinnacle of human potential, and that's what is so intriguing about Batman. This is Batman is something that you could strive to become as a man, and that's the pinnacle of it. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like, and that's what's so cool about him, and that's why he's so relatable. Is his superpower is that his life is fucked up. He took the most fucked up thing that could happen to a kid, and instead of it destroying him, it turned him into a superhero. And that's what's so inspiring about Batman, and that's what
Yeah.
I really like about him, you know?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, and like Superman never like saw his parent. Like, he was a baby. Like,
Yeah.
he can barely remember it. You know.
I like the aspect of Man of Steel though, where they're like, we know people are fucking with you and you can't do anything about it. Like when those kids were making fun of him and he had like clenched the fence.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
I like they kind of humanized Clark more in that way, and I could actually relate to him more as opposed to.
There was some good stuff. Zack Snyder does some good stuff with Superman. Well, I think he's a good person to lead the DC thing. I just think he needs the benefit of probably, I don't know, maybe a better script. I think it literally is them trying to force so many things at one time.
It did feel like that. I mean, I was surprised when, spoiler of course, when Superman dies, you know, that. And he's not really dead, of course. But
well, I mean, and I feel like that is such a wasted opportunity for that storyline, the Doomsday storyline.
It could have been a whole movie.
That would have been such an amazing Justice League film.
Well, he put it one way, which was interesting. He said he wanted the Justice League movie. He wanted Ben Affleck's Batman to bring the Justice League together, because he basically looked at it as, oh, if we had Superman here, why would we need you?
Yeah.
and that's why he wanted to do like a Seven Samurai type deal, or like a Magnificent Seven type. You know what I mean? Like round up the troops and like that.
And who's going to be in the Justice League?
So
well,
we got
we've got
Aquaman, Flash, Wonder Woman, and we're gonna have Cyborg, who we saw little snippets of all of them in Batman vs Superman. I'm really excited for Cyborg as I learn more about his, because I hadn't read a whole lot of his stuff, but I've been reading it more and watching more of the movies, and he's going to tie directly into Darkseid with like the mother boxes and stuff, and that's going to be insane when we see that, because they're definitely doing that. Yeah. And I like the Flash. Like I felt like he had humor. Like when he popped in through the little wormhole and he's like, "Am I early? Am I? I'm too early, right?"
Talking about, well, I mean, what do you think are well, like, as far as, like, a live-action R-rated Batman film, we'll probably never see it. But it's really cool that The Killing Joke recently was rated R. That is interesting. That's something that's, if you read the graphic novel, it is extremely graphic.
That was one of the first ones I got.
You never actually see the Joker, like, like do stuff to Barbara Gordon, but it's definitely heavily implied.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but it is that is also probably one of the greatest Batman stories that you could conjure up. And
One Bad Day.
One Bad Day.
Yeah.
That's literally everything.
Well, that's the one that so many people cited as their inspiration for writing the Joker as a movie character. I believe Tim Burton said it was Dark Knight Returns and The Killing Joke that made him want to do the Batman movie, the original one. And then a lot of what Heath Ledger's lines from Dark Knight stem from that as well. The multiple choice backstory. Basically, you want to know where I got these scars. Like, it was basically drawn from The Killing Joke, where he's like, well, it could have started this way. I could have been a comedian, or I could have been a low-level thug, or I could have been this. And it was so influential as a Joker story because it was just down to the psychology behind his character, really. And that's what was so great about The Killing Joke. Yeah, and
and then, like, also, I mean, you see a lot of inspiration from The Killing Joke to a lot of things. I mean, just the fact, I mean, like, I even feel like you see it in Batman Mask of Phantasm. I mean, the climax in that is at a carnival. I mean, the climax in Killing Joke is at a carnival. And it is, like, interesting to see, because there is always, like, Joker is, probably Batman's greatest villain thus far.
Well, he's the antithesis of Batman. Batman represents order, and Joker's just there to unravel everything he's done, like, right behind him. So it's just, it's an interesting dynamic that they have. And
who do you... Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, you saw in Dark Knight Returns when Batman was retired, Joker was out of commission.
Yeah.
Until Batman came back, and then the Joker just started to put on his lipstick, and they deserve each other. Like,
exactly.
Each other, yeah.
Now, who do you think is more of an opposite to each other, Batman or Superman, or Batman and Joker? Because both those characters contrast with Batman, just as well.
Superman, I'd say Batman and Joker are more opposites than Batman and Superman.
Yeah, I was thinking about it today because, like, it is contrasting. Them like almost like on a demented level because they are like when you start getting into the Joker, it starts getting really demented really fast.
Yeah. Well, Batman had a quote, and I can't remember if it was in Hush or if it was in one of the stories where they fought, and he said, I know Clark won't kill me because deep down Clark is a good person, but deep down I'm not.
Yeah.
And those are the fundamental differences between them.
Yeah.
And he even draws upon it. He's like, I'm not a good person.
Hey, awesome. We are recording right now. Our guest, Nick Puente, just came in with his Batman shirt on. He's ready to party.
I heard there was a Batman party.
Yes.
So
Let's introduce our guest real quick. Nick Puente, Portland comedian, who's also a fan of Batman.
Yeah.
We were just discussing the R rating that that The Killing Joke has. But first, we'll kind of get your opinion on this because we kind of went over it already. But have you seen Batman vs Superman?
Yes.
Okay,
I
now what are your thoughts?
I liked it. Watching the 1 hour frame by frame review that Kevin Smith did.
Mm-hmm.
I was really on board with what he said, in that it's weird when you liked it, but when you're talking to people about it, you're like, I like it, it's good. There's these huge holes in it.
Yes.
That really, I guess if you want to pick on that,
yes,
you can say that it really sucks.
Yeah.
But there's these three things that makes it
now. What are those moments for you that are really good for that movie? All
the Bat's fight scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think Affleck was a good Bat.
Yeah.
I think he's a good Batman. He's a decent Bruce Wayne, but he's a really good Batman. I like everything they did with bats, even killing people, which is probably okay for me because I'm not a huge Batman fan. Mm-hmm. I'm Frank. I was born and raised on Frank.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the Frank Miller even if you go back to Batman Returns...
Oh, wait, I actually meant Frank Castle.
Oh, Frank Castle.
Frank Castle.
Yeah. Frank Miller, but still. The Frank Miller
Miller's darker Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a big deal.
Well, that's what, to me, was so great about... To me, I love the Tim Burton Batmans. Because...
He kills the guy in that.
He kills a lot of people.
In Batman Returns... In the Penguin fight, when all the clowns converge out of the prison, the Dark Carnival, there's a guy with dynamite. Batman, the Michael Keaton Batman, straps the dynamite to his chest, kicks him down a hole, and then smiles when the explosion happens. And people go, Batman doesn't kill. It's
well, he also sets a guy on fire.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he sets the guy on fire with
the back of the
little jet.
Yeah,
little jet thing.
Right.
The first Batman, he shoots a lot of people while he's in the Batjet.
Oh yeah.
So, he machine guns down some people. He also throws some people off of the cathedral.
Oh, he kills those dudes.
Yeah, he totally kills those guys.
Oh, the big black dude.
Yeah.
Chains.
Yeah.
And he grabs him with his legs and he flips him into the bell. And he hits his head on the bell real hard and then he calms down.
Yeah, exactly.
He died.
He's dead.
Sure.
Well, that to me was what was so great about Michael Keaton's Batman because to me, huh?
Do you guys mind if I eat?
No, go ahead, Nick.
From Fat Subs.
Yeah, eat the sandwich. Where's the sandwich from?
From Fat Subs.
From Fat Subs.
It's 1 block down from Big Ass Sandwiches and 10 times better.
Good.
So you should go there.
This is our
It's
advertising part of the show.
Also, in that scene in Batman Begins, and this always bugged me, and I love Batman Begins. I'd say that's probably my favorite Batman movie. He refuses to kill a guy who he's like, I'm not an executioner, and then he flips a big ember into fireworks, and he blows up the whole house, probably killing or the house, but the training facility.
Yes, exactly.
He blows up Ra's al Ghul's training facility, and he probably kills 30 people in the process, but he saves Ra's.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Well, I mean, he was his mentor.
He's not cold-blooded about it.
I know, but still, it's I won't.
He's splitting hairs.
You know, if
he's got to justify it to himself some way.
Yeah.
He's got a high kill count in the Dark Knight trilogy. If you really break it down, in the tunnel scene when he's running away from the Joker, he smashes a guy, and the guy's driving a dump truck, and he smashes the cab of the dump truck, and it's just completely smashed in. There's no way that guy survived or got out.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I'm sure there is a video of that.
Oh, yeah. Did you see all of the Christopher Nolan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's some stuff that I didn't like about the Christopher Nolan thing.
Dark Knight Rises was so uneven to me.
Story-wise, I've heard film people, like editors and stuff, people who have film degrees, hate that movie. Not all of them, but anyone who does, they're just like, are you fucking serious? It's one of those deals where they're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Really? You did that? And you're like, I don't see what he did.
I don't know. The Batman.
Oh, Jesus! And I'm like, all right. I think it might be the second one. Anyway, he drops down. Whenever he beats up the dudes who are like, what makes us different than you? And they're like, I'm not wearing hockey gear or whatever. That one.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah. When he drops down and lands on the van, the van indents and explodes before he hits it. Mm-hmm. Like a good
second?
Yeah.
Good second. Oh. Well, if you want to nit.
And that kind of stuff. There's that kind of stuff that film people are like, come on!
Yeah, he's also a man dressed up as a bat. He's also...
I was like, oh, that's why you hate it?
Well, it's like if you freeze frame... The DVD era has ruined a lot of the magic of the movies. If you freeze frame a lot of older movies, you see people ready to take a punch, and they're like, they flinch beforehand. But I don't know. I liked a lot what they did with the Dark Knight trilogy. I think it had a lot of good themes, but I feel like the weight of itself fell on itself when it came to Dark Knight Rises.
I just don't like the whole his whole love interest. I don't like his whole he has one girl. Yeah, Kate. Well, Rachel Doss, whoever she's played by, is the one main thing that kind of drives Batman throughout that whole franchise.
And he quits when she dies.
Yeah,
he quits for 8 years. Batman would never quit.
Batman would never quit. Batman is obsessed, and my kind of Batman is... See, the great thing about Batman, to me, is I like to think that Batman is single-handedly making Gotham kind of worse. Yeah. That's what I love about him. Yeah. I don't like the fact that he's he becomes this ideal, this symbol that we should all strive for. He is creating his own enemies. Yeah. He's creating the Joker.
A lot of people say that, and I like both aspects of the character. I kind of like how they were going with Gotham, kind of saying that Gotham itself created all these fucking crazy people.
Well, even in the old universe, and in the new universe, in the new universe even more, Gotham is just made to be an evil, horrible, dark, awful place that will never be. It's just a cesspool.
Well, yeah, no, I think the movie, well...
in the new universe, isn't Gotham founded by a crazy group of satanic Mason?
Oh yeah. The Court of the Owls.
Yeah, the Court of the
Owls. They control the Court of the Owls in the new 52. They pull all the strings and they know about everything and they control everything in Gotham. It's fucking nuts.
The Wayne family was being oh, for fuck's sake, man! Can't it just be Detroit? Why does it have to be it was built on an ancient satanic Indian burial ground and that's fused itself into the soul of the city?
Yes.
And Batman's just fighting against that, but in a Hellboy kind of like he's part of it.
Well, that's what I loved about Batman Returns so much, because that the first scene you see Cobblepot being actually made. He is like Gotham creates its own enemies.
When Pee Wee Herman drops him in the sewer.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no. The Penguin is literally just the cause of all of Gotham's sins. You know, and that's what I kind of like about thinking about Gotham, kind of like in a mythical kind of sense, because it is kind of like this haunting place that will
it's almost
never get better.
Yeah, it's like a biblical city, like Sodom or Gomorrah or something, and that aspect has always been cool to it. And even though it's sad, I kind of like the fact that Batman doesn't change anything. Like you see, even in Batman Beyond, he's still fighting when he's 70 and he's collapsing.
Well, did you? There was I forgot which graphic novel it was. But it was like a Justice League graphic novel where they're all old at the end of it. Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come. At the end of Kingdom Come, Bruce Wayne literally has Batman Batman robots patrolling Gotham and fucking some Stalin Yeah, no. I thought that was interesting. I did read something about on Batman vs Superman on how it is these two ideologies are really dictatorship.
Well,
they say that about them. They say that they're what's the word I'm looking for here?
Well, anytime they show the alternate universes where either it's Owlman or Ultraman or just bad Batman and Superman, it's always they turn into totalitarian states.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's never chaos. It's never just he wins. They always end up, if they go bad, into a Big Brother situation.
Yeah.
That's how both of them always go, just different ways, but still it always ends up that way. And that's why when they did the Marvel versus DC, both versions, they had Cap be the voice of our world essentially, and they're like, well, especially in the second one. When he shows up, and they're all like, "Man, these places are clean. There's no crime here, and this place is kind of nice." And Cap's like, "I don't like this. I don't like this at all." And then he calls them something. He calls them
fascist.
Fascist.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, in your world, everyone's getting killed, and you got to do with a skull who's considered a hero."
Yeah.
And we don't have that here. And he's like, well, I'd rather have that than be in a fascist state. And he's angry about it. And it's just two different viewpoints, ways of seeing the world, and that will never coexist.
Well, that to me is one of the great things.
That's how you're a Marvel or a DC guy.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Outside of whose dicks are bigger. Outside of DC people have bigger dicks than. So you can tell.
I don't know. I feel I liked. I'm not completely against Marvel. Actually, I did enjoy Guardians because of the direction of it. I think.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy was a great ensemble.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of things I like about Marvel.
My problem with like I said with Age of Ultron, it just felt like they're get more jokes in there, talk about Hulk's dick, do this. Do
I
that.
don't like how they did Ultron. Ultron is some fucking comedian, fucking James Spader, some sexy robot.
It just didn't make sense, and then he built a superhero at the end. I just couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't grasp it.
He did make Vision.
What?
I mean, it's true to the story.
Iron Man made a person?
Yeah.
How does he make a person?
He just makes us. He tries to. Well, him and Ultron.
Yeah.
He makes Ultron. He makes the AI.
Oh yeah.
The AI makes the best suit, and then that suit becomes sentient, and is not. Yeah. Then he falls in love with Scarlet Witch. It's fucking weird.
Yeah. It was a weird movie, and I felt like. I don't know. I feel like you would be joking less if the world was ending. You wouldn't be like, "Hey, look at his dick," it just doesn't. It just seems like they're trying too hard to hit all the demographics. It's really clear what their motives are.
It is interesting.
Toys, man.
I mean, there's
toys.
Yeah, it's totally toys.
There are so many actors who have superheroes. You know, like
I think it's unfair when certain actors get two.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Chris Evans is like one of the only, like, he's impermeable to like anything. Like, they don't give him shit for being Human Torch, but they give every other actor who's been two superheroes shit.
Yeah, Ben Affleck always got shit for doing Daredevil.
Daredevil,
like,
he was the best part of Daredevil.
He was a good Daredevil. I mean,
he was the best part of Daredevil.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
was Daredevil.
The fact that they turned Daredevil into an Evanescence music video was the problem. It wasn't.
It wasn't because of, like, I remember when Ben Affleck first started, when his name first came up as, like, a potential, like, Batman, or when he did become Batman, I remember it was in Albuquerque, but, someone was like, yeah, I don't want him to be Batman. It's like, why? Well, because of Daredevil. It's like, that just, like, I mean, like, even if it is, like, a horrible movie, you can't really blame Ben for it.
Well, yeah, no, he did a good job. The character was dark, and it was really, I mean, he was crunching, like, Percocets. He's, like, crunching Percocets.
Dude, Bullseye in Daredevil was great. Yeah, Colin Farrell.
Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin. That final Kingpin scene in
that was
intense.
great.
That was a good dynamic.
He was a great Kingpin. Yeah,
that movie was good.
You just can't have the fucking playground scene.
Oh,
yeah!
Jennifer Garner's what ruined it, right?
You can't have that scene.
It was Jennifer Garner's fault. Why don't people blame Jennifer? And then they did Electra, which nobody saw, I hope.
It was horrible.
I saw Electra in theaters.
I stayed away from Electra and I stayed away from Ghost Rider. Those were the two I never saw.
I saw Ghost Rider in theaters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was funny because they're like, the director or one of the guys of like director of photography is like, well, there's a scene in the movie where one of our stunt guys broke his arm. We kept it in. That's just how badass we are. Like, and they totally like they tried to make it seem like it was gonna be the second one was gonna be this so realistic. Like, I didn't see it, but I just thought that was funny. Like, that always stuck with me. Like, he broke his arm.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, like, those first few trailers of the first Ghost, the second Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
The second Ghost Rider looked cool because it kind of looked like there was, like, this, like, a Mad Max Fury Road, you know, kind of element to it. But, of course, that was before Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, it was the Spirit of Vengeance, right?
The Spirit of Vengeance. Storyline? Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. I mean, Nicolas Cage is kind of a horrible choice to get.
I liked him.
I mean, anytime
I liked him as Big Daddy in Kick-Ass.
Yeah, he was great in that.
Role.
Yeah,
that's why that's the superhero and
yeah,
cool vigilante.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy.
Cool vigilante cop guy.
It's a lot easier to pull that off.
Yeah.
Plus, he didn't have to be in it the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's still good. Like, still super good.
Yeah.
That was one where they dropped the ball on the sequel.
Which one?
Kick-Ass. But it was they handed it down to Jeff Lalo, which is something I would say is bad. Like, just handing off a series after the first movie to someone else. I feel like that's when you really get uneven trilogies.
Yeah, it's sad. It's kind of sad. Well, because
except for George Lucas, because George Lucas can do that all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Give it to someone else, please.
Did you hear? Brian? I watched that documentary, comedians who do comedy. But there's a Brian Poslin joke about the whole. And this was like right when like the third one didn't come out yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a whole like joke about how like how like he thinks like I don't even think that there is going to be a third Star Wars Episode 3. I just think I'm going to buy my ticket, go into the theater, and George Lucas will wait for me and just rape me. Like, he's just gonna rape me in the theater. Like that's all I think that Episode 3 will be is George Lucas raping me.
You're talking about comedians of comedy?
Comedians who do comedy. Comedians who do comedy. It's a documentary on Netflix. It has like Patton Oswalt, Brian Poslin.
That's comedians of comedy.
Comedians of comedy. There's some comedians who do comedy.
Yeah. It's Brian Posehn.
Brian
Poslin.
Why did I say Poslin?
Which is funny. He co-wrote Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
Posehn.
Yeah, because he's writing Deadpool right now.
Yeah, Deadpool was.
He's been writing Deadpool.
I will say Deadpool was really
pretty cool.
A good movie. I liked Deadpool.
Well, we have Deadpool to thank for the R-rating cut of Batman vs Superman and probably the Batman killing joke R-rating.
You know what's funny? People tend to forget always. They always claim X-Men and Spider-Man as like revitalizing the superhero genre. People forget about Blade.
Blade did it.
Blade was R-rated too, which is
Blade was one. I mean, it's still today to me holds as a great superhero film.
The second one is fantastic. The first one's really good too. The second one's
I
fantastic.
completely disagree.
You don't like the second one?
You don't like the second. You don't like the second one?
I like the second one.
I like the second one when I first saw it.
Yeah.
I think now
I haven't seen it in a while.
The CGI fighting 20-minute sequences are brutal.
Yeah.
Roman's cool, and the bad guy is awesome.
I like in the first one they have that little syringe that they poke into people and then they like blow up into a big zit and pop. That was pretty
who's
great.
the guy that played Blade's sidekick? Was it
Chris Christopherson.
Chris Christopherson. Yeah, no, I always felt like I always felt he loved that role like too much.
Oh,
like he was too good. Like you feel like that same way to me. Like when I first saw like Jared Leto as the Joker in Suicide Squad, it's like, oh man, he's having too much fun as the Joker.
All they would just be Chris. Can you just be you?
I feel like that's how they did Jack Nicholson as the Joker in the original Batman. They're just like, be you with white face paint.
They actually call him Jack. His name is Jack. He actually has a line where it's like, Jack is no more. It's only the Joker.
I think it's funny when people go by their same name, like in a sitcom or in a movie. It's like, are they that dumb that they try to call him something else? Like, I don't know.
All right, so we have almost like 15 minutes left. We first let's talk about stand-up comedy before we climax this whole thing. Nick, you've been doing stand-up comedy since how long now?
Oh, wow, since 2010.
2010, and we all see each other, and we are by no means professionals of any standard, but we all see each other on the open mic circuit. You have any favorite open mics that you like to hit out?
Any
yeah.
I like Brody on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Wednesday open mic is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Helium, of course, if you can get in.
Yeah.
Critical comedy is great, and it's ending, but it'll come back. It'll be still super cool.
That's my phone.
Yeah.
All phones off.
What are the words?
Curious.
Yeah, Funhouse. Yeah,
Can be.
can be. Fun, Curious for sure. I like
Curious for sure. How, do you have any favorite, Kyle?
My favorites have to be I like Rusty Nail just when you have some good material because it's always a fresh audience, which is good. It's not really a good room to gauge how you're doing. Because it's like pretty easy room. It's a nice fluff room. I like Duff's Garage. I'm always out there on Mondays. It's a good place. Hijinks is a great guy. He gives you 8 minutes to do your stuff. We don't always have much of an audience, but sometimes we do, and we always have a great time out there. And that's on Mondays. And I love Curious as well. That's where I met most of my friends in the comedy scene, is at Curious, because it's always such a good vibe that we have in that.
Yeah, all great places. Mm-hmm. Everyone should head out to those places. I know you do, Kyle, but do you put Batman in, or do you put any kind of superhero, like, jokes in? Do you have any, like, superhero jokes?
No. I used to have a Captain Planet kind of one-liner thing.
What was the Captain Planet one?
I throw out every once in a while.
What's the Earth Day?
No, it was
Earth Day. Every year on Earth Day, I have a Captain Planet joke.
I say that, like, the thing about nerds is that none of our dreams can come true. Like, you normal people, cities. Mm-hmm. You guys can dream about being the president or a fry cook on Mars, and you can make it happen. But nerds, none of ours. Like, no matter how many times I glue my cat's fur to my face, I'm never gonna be Lino.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who of us didn't want to be a Thundercat or become a G.I. Joe? Or if you're gay, a Planeteer. That was the line. Yeah.
Now, Kyle, you have actually specific bits where you, I think that this is what made me want to do a podcast with you. I think when I heard you do bits where like the punchline is pretty much just you defending the DC cinematic universe.
I know what you're talking about.
Like you passionately, like I've seen you like a rusty nail, like passionately defend Batman vs Superman right when it came out. You spoke to the haters immediately.
Yeah, well, I had this. It's funny because I do this bit about how I'm a server and I'm a good actor, but I can't take it when someone says something mean to me. And I asked someone in the audience to say something mean to me, and I was wearing a Batman vs Superman shirt both times I did it, and both times they said Batman vs Superman sucks.
Oh man, dude, they took the war to you.
And the thing though, like the bit that I had about it was like, you know, in DC, it's like, you know, as a superhero, it's hard, and you know there's sacrifices that are inherent in that choice, and that choice has gravity. But in the Marvel universe, it's more like whee. And it was funny. I posted that on Twitter, and I got someone from like 2 people from Movie Pilot News favorited it.
That's awesome.
That made me really happy. And then it was cool. I got a bunch of people from online critic communities adding me on Twitter now. So
that's really
actually,
cool.
like, opened the door to.
We're hoping to post this podcast. Like I am part of a Batman addicts group, and I'm very excited to show my boys. I had this one joke about like Batman, like playing a bunch of Batman video games, like how I can't distinguish myself between myself and Batman anymore. And like my girlfriend sometimes comes over and is like, "Well, what have you been doing all day today?" And she's always like saying to me like I was saving the city. What were you doing? But yeah. And so as far as my Batman material,
I had a few. I was like the differences between me and Batman. We both drive a black car that some Joker fucking damaged, but mine didn't transform into an awesome motorcycle. I just drive around with a dent, and it makes me sad. Or we both wear black, but for different reasons. He wears black because he wants to instill fear in his enemies. I wear black because I'm afraid of how I actually look in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a few Batman jokes.
Okay.
I had a real life thing about growing up that I always wanted to be Robin.
Yeah.
Because I thought being Batman would be too hard.
You just couldn't take the response to the fantasy.
I was like, Robin's good at everything, but he's not. Doesn't have to be like perfect. So I could probably do that.
Be Robin.
It's like wanting to be a CFO instead of a CEO.
This seems like a lot of hours.
It's like a lot of hours. Alright, so the last 9 minutes, we like to do a list. But let's get intense about this list, though. Okay. So, best Batman portrayals on film. Let's go. So, the qualifying people that we have on this list. Adam West. Adam West. Then let's just jump ahead to Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Ben Affleck, right? Oh no, Christian Bale, then Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Okay, so not the best films, just the best Batman portrayals.
I was raised with the first Batman movie I ever saw in theaters was Batman Returns, of course. So I think it's almost like a Sean Connery type deal when it comes to James Bond. Like I feel like the people who were raised with it. So I loved Keaton's portrayal. It was kind of stoic, and I would say that he was the best behind the actual cowl.
Let's actually go least to best so far. Who's the worst? Who's been the worst Batman so far? Can we all agree?
Either Clooney or Kilmer.
Yeah.
So Adam West is not the worst Batman.
No, Adam West.
See, I'd put Adam West.
He is not the worst Batman.
For the character he was portraying, he fucking nailed it.
Okay, so
it's a completely different interpretation.
Well, then let's go. Let's put Clooney last.
Yeah.
Clooney's definitely last. Now it's between West and Kilmer.
Kilmer.
Really?
Easy.
I think
Yeah.
Kilmer. He was a sophisticated Batman. I think he was a Batman. He was a thinker. Well, he wasn't asked to do that.
Yeah,
He was like Superman playing Batman.
I don't know. I was 7 years old when it came out, and I don't think I caught on that they replaced the actor. And then when I went to see the movie, I was very disappointed that they had replaced Keaton.
Okay, so
at
let's.
the time, yeah.
Okay. So let's go Clooney, Kilmer, West. Right?
I would even put like the 40 serial.
Yeah, I have that. I actually have that on DVD.
Oh, okay.
I have that.
Can we put Kevin
ahead of Kilmer.
Yeah.
But they're like outliers.
That one's interesting. He doesn't have a Batmobile. Alfred drives him around in like a Rolls Royce, and he gets changed in the back.
Yeah.
And he doesn't fight any of his iconic villains. It's always like mad scientists and stuff.
Okay,
Like,
so
I would totally.
we have
They're
the
like so far.
1930s guy ahead of Kilmer, Adam West ahead of the 1930s guy.
Yeah.
Now let's get on to the heavy hitters. Heavy hitters: Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck. Well, Christian Bale, I think, has the benefit of cinematically probably being in the. Well, I mean that's also debatable. Like the better Batman movies, I was gonna say, but also Keaton is in some really good Batman films. But Ben Affleck, physically, I think, and also
He has the actual physical characteristics of Batman in the comics. He's 6'2" and 220.
and Ben Affleck is 6'4".
Exactly.
Like
He's a little bit
240.
bigger.
Yeah,
he's a little bit bigger, but he's
a big-
basically a big ass Batman.
Yeah, he's a big ass Batman, that's for sure.
I loved his portrayal as Batman. I think he brought a grittiness to it that we haven't really seen before, and he kind of brought that fear. Like he felt like a Batman who was fearful. Like he actually was kind of like on the borderline paranoia.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Which
he was gonna preemptively kill Superman.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna preemptively kill him.
Like he was in a Minority Report.
Oh,
yeah.
Minority Report.
Like he hasn't done anything.
yeah.
But you might.
So, I mean, where does Christian Bale? Where's Christian Bale between those three?
I think I liked him as Batman. It's just the voice. Like I get the
Yeah,
I
you
get
got
the
it.
voice.
You gotta.
Here's the thing about the voice. The voice sounds fine when it's a couple of things like, where are they?
Yeah.
But when it gets into, I know you would never give the trigger to another
They made a right move.
Yeah, you don't do paragraphs.
Yeah,
you know?
they made a right move of just making his voice like
Yes,
a
the
computer.
voice
yeah,
modulated,
that was
that was
badass.
smart.
That makes sense.
That makes sense because Batman would have a scary
Yeah,
ass
that voice thing.
Yeah.
No, I liked a lot of
Everything
the
else.
I really liked the Tim Burton Batman just because he didn't say too much. You know, he just kind of had like this look. You know, where it's like
with that scene. If you watch it out of context, it's kind of creepy. The scene when he has Kim Basinger and he's driving her to the Batcave and she keeps asking him all these questions and he's just like, nope. He's just
he shines a light in her face.
Yeah, like he just like shut up, bitch. You're coming to my house.
He has a shut up, bitch. Fucking button on the left. So Christian Bale. So I guess So Christian Bale is number 3.
He had the best suit in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah.
the Dark Knight suit was so badass. I feel like
It was.
I liked
It was
the
practical.
suit.
Yeah, no, you could actually fight crime in that thing.
Yeah.
It looked super tactical. Like it looked like someone made it. Yeah.
I've seen the video of the dude who made it, and it was pretty badass.
Yeah, his was
He could move it and
His was
stuff.
lighter weight, I think. Which
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah. Poor Keaton. Had the worst.
I think
Probably the worst.
Keaton was an amazing Wayne too.
Oh yeah.
He was an awesome Bruce Wayne.
Now is the same. Like if we had to compose a list for the best Bruce Waynes, would it still be the same list as the same Batmans? Because when we say Batman, I assume, of course, that we're combining both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
I think Christian Bale did a good job as Bruce Wayne because
he did. He really did.
He had that whole. I mean, from American Psycho, it's a very similar character.
Yeah.
Well, and it was very true. Like especially Batman Year One, he really nailed Batman Year One. Like that whole portrayal of him being a moralist playboy. But Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is definitely, I think, more I'm more accustomed to him just because that's more of what like the animated version.
Oh yeah.
To me,
He
was
looks.
more like
He looks just like.
he does.
He really does. I just saw a picture online of me,
Yeah.
and they took the animated Batman or the animated Bruce Wayne. I mean, in Ben Affleck, and they look just the same. They had like the same jawline and everything.
Yeah. It is interesting. I mean, like, and then like also if we had to include Kevin Conroy on the list.
Kevin Conroy.
He is that.
Just the cadence in his voice and the tone of his voice. Like I hear that and I think Batman.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I imagine anytime I've never seen him and I don't want to because I imagine him
ginger.
walking like and just looking like Batman.
Yeah.
But I bet he doesn't.
No, he's kind of a skinny guy.
He's skinny, like a skinny ginger guy.
But he has a strong jaw.
Yeah,
he has a Batman jaw.
It's like imagining Phil Lamar doing all his voices, and you're like, what the
Phil
fuck,
Lamar.
man?
So
No way.
yeah. So Christian Bale. I go Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, number 1.
I can go with that.
With Bruce Wayne's?
No, I say Batman. Overall, Batman.
Michael Keaton, then
I say Michael Keaton is still number 1 to me. Ben Affleck is number 2.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that is only speaking to my nostalgia.
I'm kind of glad we didn't see Affleck going, I'm Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had Christian Bale do it, and we had Keaton do it.
Batman.
When Keaton did it, it was awesome. Though he's like, I'm not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, like that beginning when he's had that.
Well, they had it perfect.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah, that's a great scene. All right, so do we have our list because we're just about out of time.
Yeah, I would say it would be Keaton, then Affleck, then Christian Bale.
Wow.
Kilmer.
Yeah.
Kilmer tried really hard.
Yeah.
And George Clooney enjoyed his paycheck.
Well, we have Adam West. We have Adam West at number 4.
Yeah.
Adam West
at 4.
And then the dude from the 40s, series.
Yeah, Adam West.
And then Kilmer, and then Clooney.
Like
Clooney number last.
Like a
That's a
buffer.
shame too, because I always thought Clooney would have been a pretty, like, given a good script, Clooney would have been a pretty good Batman.
He was still kind of a good Bruce Wayne. He
He
could do
did.
Playboy. Like,
He had some good scenes with Alfred. I think Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
had some
Yeah,
good
that's
scenes
when
with
they
Alfred.
tried to, and I forget about that. That Alfred had that. He had that whole subplot of Alfred was dying. From
Yeah, that was some good shit in Batman and Robin. Did you get that whole movie shit?
Yeah. I did not like that movie. Even at like 9 when it
Okay.
came out, I was like, no.
Okay, so places online where we can catch you, Nick. Where can we look for some of that Nick Puente comedy?
Probably nowhere.
Your Facebook,
Yeah, I have a Facebook. I don't have videos of it. There's pictures of me doing stuff.
Do you have like a Twitter?
No,
No Twitter.
I don't have Twitter or Instagram.
Okay, you can look for Nick Puente on Facebook. You'll look for the guy holding the mic in the picture.
That'll be me.
Kyle.
So you can find me on Twitter at Batman Casual, or you can find me
Awesome.
on YouTube at Kyle Adams Comedy, one word, and you can find all my open mic and showcase videos on there.
You can find me on Facebook as Nicky Moon, and you can also find me on Twitter at Nicky Moon Comedy. Yeah. And thank you for listening. This was our first episode of Batman Comedy and Other Stuff, featuring Nick Puente as our first guest. So it's quite a milestone today. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Thank you guys.
Cool.